pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, it's reflective too.
Tammy, please do a roll call.
Ms. Burke? Here. Ms. Duffy? Here. Mr. Bogowski?
Present.
Mr. Craig?
Here.
Mr. Burge?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Malinger?
Here, all here. We definitely have a quorum. First, let's do the consideration of minutes from the meeting of February 18th, 2026. Got a copy in there. Is there a motion to approve them?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We are done with that. Moving on to audience participation. Does anybody in the audience have anything to say other than the things that are on the docket for the preliminary hearing tonight? Seeing no one approach. We have no final approvals, we have no site plans. So we begin immediately with two items for the preliminary hearing. And Mr. Lewandowski, you're the applicant for both of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's just do the one titled 4Bs, Brian Lewandowski, 1301 Porter. Please state who you are, where you live, and describe what the petition is for.
My name is Brian Lewandowski. I live at 1301 Old Porter Road. And this petition, I think you guys have all the copies of the subdivision, correct? It's pretty, to give a short history of what's happened over the years, Porter County Health Department used to not have a lot size requirements for lots that were requiring a septic. I think somewhere around the 2000s, or maybe a little bit before, somewhere around there, Porter County then put some 1 acre usable land requirements on lots that needed septics if they had a certain loading rate for soil and that kind of stuff. Anyways, last year that went away, so they don't have a lot size requirement anymore. That's by the Indiana, the state passed a House bill on that. So first things first, I submitted a design to the Porter County Health Department to see if I could get a septic. I don't know who gets one of these. I made a few copies, but this is the approval to put a septic on the lot that I'm splitting. So in order to get that approval, I had to do a set of plans. I had to do a set of plans and a whole septic design for them to do their review and approve it. So that got approved, contingent that the subdivision gets approved. So this is like a site plan kind of state. I think there's enough. You guys could just tear it off and take what you want. Oh, yes. Did you want one too, Michael? Oh, did you want one? No.
Ryan, I just need approvals from the Porter County, so I can put it in the file. You can email that to me tomorrow, that's fine.
I have one email.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm basically splitting a lot, not quite exactly in half, but I'm splitting it to meet the town of Porter's requirements as far as lot width and size and all that other good stuff. So that's what it is. My plan with it is to eventually build a house alongside of the existing barn that's there. I plan on, until I do that, I plan on keeping the lot as is. I mean, the legal description would be one tax parcel, right? So it would just, the legal description would change from something's Gilbertsville lot something to 4B's subdivision lot 1 and lot 2 combined, and that's pretty, that's pretty common when lots, and that whole area, I don't know if anybody's looked at any of the survey work that's been going on in that area. It's kind of a bunch of like good old day stuff where someone's like, oh, you need 15 feet, that's cool, you need 10 feet. So like, there's all kinds of lots with like, that are, you know, lots 3, 5, half a lot 7, and 15 foot of this other one all down that street. So it's kind of common there. As far as the lot size goes, I forgot my paperwork that my notes that I was gonna talk about, so I'm just shooting from the hip, but through there, the house to the west, it's on like a 17,000 square foot lot. This is a 20,000 square foot lot. So the house 2 doors down was 25,000 square feet. And then when you get to that Mineral Springs down there to like Vine Street, there's some lots that are 9,000 square feet that have septics on them. So like, those were all obviously built before like some of the today's rules, but it's pretty common to have, you know, 20,000 square foot lots in that area. So, I guess, does anybody have any questions?
We'll probably have a lot at some point.
That's fine.
Let me summarize what I think the salient thing that I heard, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the process right here. So, Mr. Lewandowski, you have a lot that you want to split into 2,
Right,
and your intention is to do that because you intend for both of them to be compliant lots, each with a house on it. That's your goal.
correct.
All right, and what we're doing right now in this meeting, at this point, is we're going to approve it for a hearing. Now, what's unusual for all of us is this is called a minor subdivision. So a minor subdivision we handle different than, I think, what everybody else has done here a lot. We can actually have the preliminary hearing, which is what we're doing right now, and decide if we have enough material to set it for a public hearing. And we can do both of those in the same meeting. It's real unusual. Congratulations. But that's what our code says. So the process that we're talking about right now, at this minute, at 22 minutes to, is to determine if we are ready to set a public hearing. So far, so good? Staff? All right. And Mr. Berry, you've examined the materials. Is there adequate information in the application and the materials supplied for the purposes of holding a public hearing?
Yes.
Okay, now, yeah.
We have an issue with the request, and I'll come over there so I can hear the people on the other end. The creation of the
Thanks,
second
Ben.
lot will result in a accessory building without a primary structure. Because right now there's a house and then there's also a secondary structure, an accessory structure. The building line, or the new property line will be in between the two. So it'll create a lot with no principal structure, with only an accessory structure. Now that can only be done through the BZA, through a variance. And the question is, do you act conditioned on the BZA variance, or do you table the final approval until next meeting, until the BZA takes action, and then come, finalize it at your next meeting, assuming the BZA approves? I mean, it's really kind of a legal question, I guess. Can the planning commission choose either option, or are they limited?
No, I think that you could choose both options there.
Is it set to go before the BZA?
No, there isn't anything pending and there's no variance that's asked for. So I do think that that is something that you could do in the alternative. There is a question with regard, that I have, is with regard to the notices. And that is because it was advertised as a replat. And this isn't a replat. This is a minor subdivision. And my concern is, and not to throw a monkey wrench in it, but it might decide, because presumably you'll be given some options of time-wise, what's best here, right, to make it all happen. But the concern and the goal is to provide the public and adjoining neighbors with the ability to know what's exactly being asked for. They both involve a new plat, right, and they both involve some moving of lines, but they are technically different. in that, you know, a minor subdivision is a whole different mechanism under the code. And the notices that I believe, and I'd also ask that there's verification, because the notices that were submitted with the package show February. It seems that information in talking to Tammy, that you guys updated the notices that were sent to neighbors, but the notices that are in the package reflect that there was a February hearing date. We're in March, and I understand that you were trying to get everything together. So those are my concerns about making sure that all of the notice requirements are set and everything is accurate. But it was advertised. The petition, I'm not concerned asking, because that's a minor, or that's a subdivision.
So it having to go, in your legal opinion, having to go before Mr. Mandan's assessment of it needing to go before the BZA is correct?
He's gonna need one regardless. The issue is how you go about it and whether you continue, but no matter, you cannot, one of the provisions under the code for minor and granting subdivisions in general, is that it's gonna comply with the rest of the requirements, and by definition, what he's asking for, and I think, I'm not a decision maker at the BZA level, but this is one of those, either way, he has a problem and he has a good position to go before the BZA. But what you would be doing is legalizing, for lack of a better description, a non-conformance and creating one as a result, and you're not allowed to do that under the code. So he would need a variance.
Can I touch on that for a second?
That's up to the president there.
To touch on that, the nonconformance wouldn't sprout up until I was no longer the owner of both lots.
That isn't the case. That's not the standard. The standard,
Split.
No, it doesn't.
Since it's split?
yeah, once the minor subdivision is granted, those are two separate legal zoning lots. And there's a nonconformance because you have an accessory structure before you have the primary structure.
So let me take, I just want this for discussion. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to understand all the.
We're all trying to find a way.
All the inner workings of this, because this is something that's somewhat unique to me and somewhat unique to everybody else in this room, right? So let's say this was already split, like hypothetically, right? And I have a house on one lot, and I want to build an accessory structure on the lot that I own next to me.
You would have to combine them.
Combine a lot.
You can't,
So-
you could not, but without a variance, unless you got a variance, which is what.
So would it be combined, like, would you combine it at the like, on a tax thing, or would you have to replot those two lots into one? Because it would essentially become like 4B subdivision. The house would, the deed would essentially be 4B subdivision, lot 1 and lot 2, which is, it's kind of a gray area. I don't have a problem going for a variance for this thing, because I think there's plenty of hardships that go along with this. But hypothetically, it is kind of a weird situation. If you bought a house because you didn't want a neighbor or something, and then you wanted to build an accessory and you own both lots.
That's right. And so the move that some try to do is combine them for tax purposes, right? But from my advice, and they're the decision makers, would be that you need to legally combine them into one lot. So that in the future, if someone wanted to game the system, for lack of a better description, and you say, hey, I combine these for tax purposes, but that has no legal binding. You build on one, and then you decide, oh, you know what, I'm selling this one off. And then you end up, and I'm not insinuating at all that that's what
Right.
you're trying to do. So my advice would always be that we need the legal combination for you to be able to do that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be allowed to do it without a variance.
Right. No, that's fine. So,
You can still steer these parallel so that you don't have to lose all of this, you know, what you've done and submitted already, but that would
I
be.
personally think we should table it until we hear from the BZA. Because we don't know how long that process, they could end up tabling it and we end up months down the road.
And it's likely a 2-month process regardless.
And then if we do
The
that,
paperwork's already not right anyway, we need to make corrections to
Exactly.
that, so I think tabling it is our best option.
yeah,
And so what that, may I just clarify, I don't wanna give legal advice, but what that would mean is that you would just renotice when you're ready, and that would be okay. correcting the application, because it says replat, but you're using the subdivision form, so that part I'm not concerned. I'm more concerned about the neighbors and getting proper notice,
Okay.
so that nobody can come back to you. It protects you, it protects them.
It protects you guys as well, you know, so it's fair and reasonable, I get it.
Well, it's not a question of protecting us, it's, there's only certain things we can do and we have to do what's right.
No,
We're
I
really
know.
concerned about protecting you so that a
Right.
decision isn't made that goes back to bite you.
No, I get it.
And we want to facilitate a way to proceed pretty quickly. So, Chris, let's back up and let's articulate clearly the steps. Should we decide to follow Jay's suggestion, explain to you that we're going to table it now for these reasons, then let's describe out loud the steps that we are recommending that we go from then.
Well, I think,
I think it's a bit odd the way that we have, because you could do both of these, and I understand why you have the preliminary and the decide if you're gonna set it. It's already advertised for a public hearing. You could take a vote that you would set this for public hearing at a date certain when he makes that request, so that he doesn't lose what he's spent in the time and efforts. He could withdraw it. I am not offhand familiar whether that it might affect when he could resubmit if you withdraw.
No, it's
But
fine if it's
we
denied.
haven't started,
Right.
and we haven't started hearing
Yeah,
yet.
so no, it doesn't-
Some that jurisdictions, if you start and you pull it, then you can't submit for 3 months, 6 months. So you could pull it and resubmit, but then the issue is you've already paid a filing fee. So that, to me, you could table it with,
Pending the
with
outcome
the
of it.
caveat that you will set it for public hearing if you receive a further request.
Yeah, and I'd have no issue setting it for a public hearing later down the road, but we don't know that date and what it takes to BZA to get this done,
Yes,
so.
and then he can make that request, they could put it,
Isn't it possible to grant preliminary approval tonight, open the public hearing, and then continue the public hearing until the next meeting? So we didn't have to re-advertise?
well, my argument is that he needs to re-advertise because it was advertised, that it was advertised as a replat and not a minor subdivision. The notices in the publication say replat.
The
Yes.
notice is inaccurate.
So it's like an erroneous publication, so we're taking care of two things here.
Okay.
We're coordinating, I'll say, the variance along with the replatting, and we're allowing for a correct publication of the public hearing. So,
Yeah, at best, I think you could probably have some remedial type where you opened it based on this and still have him renotice. That's the only way that I would feel comfortable to say, so that if you wanted to move it on down the line, but the net effect is the same until he gets a variance,
Yeah.
or if he had to renotice. So either way, you're ending up in the same spots that he needs a variance.
I make a motion, we table it.
Second.
does anybody happen to have the public, notice?
I do.
I'm just wondering where the public.
Petition to
Yep.
replat.
Yeah. Well, it's on
It
this.
should be petition for minor subdivision.
Right.
And your notice to your neighbors said same thing.
Right, no, I get it.
Notice to owners of affected property replat.
so to be unambiguous, what should the public notice say?
It should say petition for minor subdivision.
So, Mr. Lewandowski,
Right.
if it comes back as a minor subdivision, we still have the process and the capability to do both things in one session. So don't worry that by tabling it now, this thing is gonna go on for months and months and months.
No, I get
If we can coordinate with the BZA and get these both things, you can have the preliminary hearing, the public hearing, our discussion, all in one subsequent meeting.
Yeah, what
Okay.
I need to do is submit, send out an updated, public notice with a minor subdivision. And then in the meantime, we're gonna table this until I get through the BZA.
When we get to the vote, we will.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Yeah,
gonna have a
sorry,
little,
but-
we're gonna allow for a discussion here. But yes, that is a description of what it is, and then to be clear, we're also we're also suggesting that you also file for a variance with the BZA. Sometime in the next very short time period, so you can get on their next calendar.
Yeah, and your timing, if you timed it right and you moved along and they were inclined, you could have your preliminary hearing with the BZA next month. If they set it, because they meet in the same night, you could get your variance approval and your minor subdivision in May.
And you were probably coming back anyway for the other one, so
Right.
you may not have lost much ground here.
No, I get it.
And in the process, we'll do things right. It's still kind of a catch-22, because the BZA is giving a variance for something that hasn't been split, but we want to help.
And they'll make it conditional too, so Mr.
Yeah.
Manning's suggestion was, correct. I would caution, and again, not to give you legal advice, you should seek that if you need it, but just from a timing standpoint, I wouldn't rush out and do your notices or your publication for this yet until you start, you file for your preliminary, because you have plenty of time to do that at the May, when you're ready to put this back on the agenda.
I can tell you that one of the reasons why this didn't make February, and this is new to me, that it took the newspaper, I think almost like 10 days to get the publication in. So like, or at least 7. So like, just forward thinking, maybe when other people come, for variances, the newspapers are kind of not as good as they once were when it comes to public notices and stuff, so. Just
Okay.
something new to me.
We have a motion and a second. I want to give a chance for the commission now to have a discussion about it and ask any questions. All right, no further questions, then Tammy, would you please call roll? So remind you, the motion is to table the application for minor subdivision for 4Bs.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Burge?
Yes.
Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Pogowski?
Yes.
Ms. Duffy? Yes. Ms. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Malinger?
Yes. Thank you very much. The next hearing is with Mr. Lewandowski. You get to approach again, and now this is a request, preliminary hearing for Blue Springs replat 1-2. We know who you are, we know where you live, you can just jump in.
Okay, did you want me to state my name and address again, or no?
Just jump in.
Okay, this is somewhat, similar to what we discussed, but I'll start over. I own, in Lou's Spring subdivision right now, I currently own, the empty lots on lot number 2 and lot number 3. A buddy of mine owns lot number 1, okay? So, once again, there's been some changes downstate, and I'd like to turn lot number 1, lot number 2, and lot number 3 into lots number 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, and 3B. This is a replat of the 3 lots for Lou's Spring subdivision. The septics, as far as the septics go, the plan for lot number 1, that's going to be held in his same ownership, until he maybe builds on his lot 1B. But there's actually a septic on lot 1B now, and that would stay there. We would simply move the tank and then have a septic there for that house. And then lot 1A would then get their own septic. So we'd first have to disconnect the septic on lot B, and then, or we'd first have to build another septic on lot 1A and then disconnect lot 1B. And then the other lots are standard empty parcels. We get a septic approval and then build the house.
So you're requesting subdivision of lots 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
Are you the owner of lot 1?
No.
Can we do this?
At some point, you want to see proof that he has permission to make representations or have the other
Yeah, I could have the other gentleman come in, or I could get a power of attorney from him.
Okay. We'll need something for that, for the public hearing and
Right.
for the action of determination. All right, so a reminder of what the process we're doing right now. We are not having the public hearing, we are not making a decision about the subdivision. We are deciding if we're going to set this for public hearing. So that's the matter before us right now. Are all of these representations correct and adequate for what you're expecting here, Mike?
Yeah, the lot sizes are all proper and everything. We did have a question from someone to the north regarding drainage, as far as stormwater drainage between, if you're familiar with Vine Street, I don't know if everybody's familiar with where Vine Street. So Vine Street, north side of Old Porter's properties, then there's a undeveloped right-of-way, and then Vine Street's on the other side. The undeveloped right-of-way is sort of an area where there's no stormwater drainage and water tends to sit there. So some neighbors had asked if this would affect that, and the answer would be no. There's a storm sewer on Old Porter Road that's shown on the plat, and every property that Mr. Lewandowski has developed, he has added on his own a yard drain to tie into that so that none of these properties hold water. We've been very cognizant of making sure the road drainage is taken care of and run into the sewer like it's supposed to be. But this doesn't really have any effect at all on those properties that are north. So since somebody brought that up, I wanted to address that. But that's something the storm board's gonna have to look at in the future as to how to deal with that. This area was platted in the 1850s as Porter Station, and then it was renamed Gilbertville, and then it was renamed Town of Porter. And then the Town of Porter migrated this way to the village of Hagaman, which was the downtown portion here. And that's why this is called Old Porter Road. This property that he purchased used to be the train station. So it was referred to as the depot. Old Porter Road was called Depot Street, just for a history lesson. So that's why Old Porter Road has its name. That used to be the Town of Porter a long time ago. But he does, you know, I had a discussion with Bill earlier. There's some developers and builders that I have issues with. I never have issues with him because he goes above and beyond to make sure we take care of drainage and things like that. So I don't have that issue that I have in some other locations.
I would like to point out that I did just build a house on 1170 Old Porter Road there. And then at my expense, we bored under the road and tapped into the town's storm drain, which, you know, helps out everything. And then we left a couple taps for the neighbor in case they needed something. And I mean, if they wanted to tap into mine, I'd be like, okay. I mean, they'd obviously have to get a permit to do so, you know, to regrade their yard or whatever, you know. But it seems that a lot of people, I've had this conversation a few years ago, people are like, oh, there's a new subdivision going across the street, like, let's make him pay for our problems that we've had for, you know, since 1950, you know. So my recommendation to those people is to spend money and fix your problem, you know. But when I was a kid, I liked having puddles in my backyard. I thought it was fun. You know, we'd ride bikes through it, we'd do whatever we needed to. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, a puddle for a few days is okay in my book, but I do take precautions to get rid of those, you know, because they are, if they're long enough, that mosquitoes and everything else, I get
And
it.
Mr. Lewandowski, be prepared to come back and visit the issue of this puddles and waters if this is set to public hearing,
No, I get
because
it.
I'm sure it will come up.
No, and it has, and that's why I said, well, why don't you guys design a storm system and submit a plan to the building department and execute it, come up with a plan, get a permit and do it. So nobody has yet,
Yeah.
but, so it must not be that big of a problem, but
Yeah.
anyways,
So Mr. Bennett is the owner of the other lot? All
yeah.
right, so you understand, you gotta get either him or
Or a
you
power
have to
of
be
attorney.
able to legally represent him.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, is there a motion to set this to public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Okay, questions or further comments on it?
Can I just add, I think it's important for you to become familiar with the code, because in addition to this packet, there are things that you're required to do to make representation wise, and so just make sure that you review. It's available online, and not to give you more work, but I wanna make sure that you don't get roadblocked because there aren't requirements, and this one's a little more, even more formal than the minor subdivision process. So there are certain submissions that you need to make that wanna make sure that you don't go involved through because of something you didn't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Other comments or questions? All right, so the motion before us is to approve this for public hearing at the April
15.
15th meeting. Would you call the roll, please, Tammy?
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Craig?
Yes.
Ms. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Burge?
Yes.
Mr. Wagowski?
Yes.
Ms. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Mallender?
Yes, motion passes. So we'll expect to see you next month, and perhaps for both of these petitions again.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks for everybody's time. See you next week.
All right, that's it for those items on the agenda. Commission comments, oh wait, we gotta do these. Yeah, we do have the old business yet. Guys, are welcome to stick around and hear this. So, you recall last month, we were talking about House Bill 1001 and 1201, 1210.
1210 and 1001.
Yeah, I don't wanna beat this to death, but they were passed and they do have an impact on us. So, Chris, you wanna start off, and if there's anything that you don't bring up?
Well, with the rentals, it's basically you can't tell private property owners that they can't rent their properties, right? So,
But you can regulate for
You can
safety,
regulate.
health, building, stuff.
that's right.
So the impact of that is, I think all of this work that we did to develop a framework for rental management is validated, it's worth going forward. We did not put into there regulations for the short-term rental as things stand right now. So I think we have license to go ahead. Mike, if you can, let's get that code back to us when we can, so we can actually start going with it and get that in place.
So I had drafted I'll say, I have the draft, which I sent to you and Rob. And there was a bunch of items I listed in blue that are kind of town code questions. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. Can we just lump those in and say it must, something to the effect that they have to meet all town codes or
Yeah.
something? That way we don't have to list all those extra things. And then if there's anything I need to revise based on HB 101, we'll just make those revisions, then we'll have it ready to.
All right, so let's get, so we can caucus on those things and get that going. So that's House Bill 1001.
1210 is the rentals, right?
1210 was the other one. So 1210 was the thing that had the ADUs and a whole lot of other stuff. in it.
Opposite.
So do you want to summarize that one?
The 1210 is the one that with the rentals, that allows you to rent the private. 1001, which had a bunch of restrictions that we were concerned about, which you'd already tabled or put off the ADU discussion. That's probably something that is relevant, maybe, well, first of all, they were going to be allowed as a matter of right in residential districts, but that did not pass. There were some other restrictions and a lot that ultimately would have limited local control over zoning, but they didn't make it out. So the big things that are applicable to you is that the state adopted a definition of ADU, which is 75% of the interior space or 1,000 square feet outdoors, or 1,000 square feet, whichever is less, had to have separate cooking and, bathroom facilities, et cetera. But there's nothing that talks about requirements except there are some other restrictions about frequency of changing building fees, which, good thing you just addressed them, but in the future, you can only review them every 5 years, and you have to more closely identify the actual cost that you incur, which is difficult, and then they can only be effective 6 months after you adopt them versus 90 days. the other big thing is that there are now reporting requirements that the town is gonna have to do downstate, and all of this is under the umbrella of encouraging solutions to housing issues, right? So this ADU thing, for instance, is not gonna go away, and I'm not advocating for that, but by them adopting that definition, one of the other requirements, so some of the reporting requirements deal with average price of houses, incomes, et cetera. Then, by the end of the year, the town is required, which is likely gonna fall on you and or the BZA, you primarily
Or both.
involved at BZA,
Yeah.
to review your development, your zoning ordinance by the end of the year, and then send a report downstate, basically of your assessment and what you are doing or will do to address housing. And it all gets back to ADUs, or how you're going to allow these different things. It doesn't say that, so you're not required, so don't take it that way, but it's, who knows what comes next year on the heels of these. So that's the summary. It wasn't as, well, I guess bad as one's perspective, but some of those would have taken away a lot of control, which would have been concerning. If they mandated ADUs, that would be what it is, but you would have ended up with potentially everybody with a duplex or tiny homes on lots that could have. So that didn't pass, but who knows what it will be after this year and those reports for assessments.
So I think this will come back to us, although I suspect the council will want to bring itself up to date on the impact of that, because the unit, which in our case is the town, the unit is now directed to do this report, this analysis and report that Chris just talked about. We have a year to look at how we can improve housing availability, and ADU is stuck in there in the middle of it, and some other issues. I assume this will come back to the Plan Commission and or the BZA, as Chris was saying. Y'all will probably take a look at it, and we'll hear from you. I think we are still interested in it, but perhaps let's just sit on it for a little bit until the council gets its hands around what the impact of this new legislation is, and I suspect you guys will come back and tell us what you want us to do. We'll wait to hear from you. Chris, Mike, anything else on those?
I was just gonna say, there's an opt-out section in that 1001, you can opt out of certain things.
Yeah.
They left that in there? Or take that?
No, I think that was out as
That
well,
was out.
because some of that was taking away your
Take it out.
ability to
Yeah.
address appearance, architecture, those kinds of things. So that opt-out didn't make the final cut either.
I
Yeah.
gotta pull up the summary of the final ones.
They're all both of them are tremendously complicated, long bills. Most of it doesn't apply to us. There's things in there about short-term rentals. Had we already created short-term rentals, it would affect those. Well, we hadn't, so it's immaterial. Chris and I are just talking about the stuff that pops above the head and that will affect us. So that's your update. Okay, commissioners, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Second, did we need a second?
Sure. Very self together. So, thank you very much. We are adjourned.